time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
And great to have you with us on this Monday edition of the show. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes. Mondays are always busy. We got baseball to talk about in 10 minutes. I am without words. We'll get to that. College football, Bill Bender will be here from the Sporting News. Thoughts with him from the National College Football writer there. Also some WNBA, NASCAR, a whole bunch to talk about in the show. But we kick things off with some NFL talk. Sam Yarnell here, as he is each and every day. All right, let's talk about it. The two unbeatens are no longer unbeaten. The Eagles and Bills both losing their first games of the season. And I got to be honest, I mean, I might be shocked that the Bills lost at home to the Patriots. I'm not shocked they lost. If anybody thought either of these two teams had any shot at going undefeated, then you weren't paying attention for the first several games of this season. That being said, Sam, the way in which these two teams lost, very different in some ways, and I think very telling and enlightening on what we could expect from both of them going forward. Start with the Eagles. Mistake prone. They still can't run the football. They're lacking an identity on offense right now, without question. And look, credit to the Broncos going on the road and doing what they did. We know this team is good enough defensively to compete with anybody in the league. And they're, when they're able to just score just enough, as we talked about with Nick Ferguson on the show last week, or as I talked about with Nick Ferguson last week, they're going to be a very difficult team in that AFC West. That said, what was it about the Eagles that you found most alarming in that loss?
Well, I don't know, man. We'll get to the Eagles in a second, but like the overarching theme from this game, as we'll continue to talk about multiple other games this week, is the NFL's got to do something about the officiating. This game was horribly officiated both ways. And I mean, any game that ends up with 21 penalty flags thrown combined is going to be horribly officiated, but across the board, the NFLRA just let us down, city in and city out this weekend. It was horrible officiating each and every way in multiple games. And this one, to me, may have been at Sunday night was probably at the forefront, but this one was right there with it. It's become unforgivable at this point, because now you've taken an undefeated team in the Philadelphia Eagles and the clear and obvious best team in the NFC, and I don't want to say you took a win away from them, but you took the ball out of their hands in the fourth quarter with a chance to go down and take the lead on a horrible penalty call followed up by a missed call against the Philadelphia Eagles. It doesn't get more clear and obvious than that. And that it's hard to take a lot of things away from this game with that being the case.
But it isn't. But here it is. But it isn't hard to take away other things, because you know what? Officiating is going to vary from week to week. The one thing you can do is take care of your business. And this team offensively has sucked all year long. And that's not the fault of the officiating. That's the fault of the idea of how they want to execute this offense. The fact they've completely gone away from Saquon Barkley. The fact they're not leaning on this offensive line. The fact that they now want to all of a sudden put the game more in the hands of Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of, and look, injuries are a part of it too with this Eagles team. There are some injuries on this offensive line. But at the end of the day, officiating does suck across the league. But there's nothing that's going to change about it. We already know this by now. Sitting here on TV and going crazy about the NFLRA or any of these things isn't going to change anything. The league succeeds in spite of itself. It has for years. We can go back to the touchdown in Seattle and how badly that thing was botched. The touchdown that shouldn't have been. All of these things. We can go back and find tons of mistakes in officiating. The one thing you have to do, though, is take care of business yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, the Eagles weren't able to overcome it in this game, and that is certainly a storyline, as we'll talk about in other games, right? Because when you have to deal with something like that, like you're saying, the most important part of what makes a championship team and what made the Eagles champions last year is overcoming it. That said, the narrative that the Eagles offense has been bad this entire season until yesterday. I don't understand where it came from. You're talking about a team that put up 30 points in back-to-back weeks. You're talking about a running back in Saquon Barkley who coming into yesterday was averaging, 20 carries a game? The confusing thing to me about that entire narrative seemed to be that it was stirred up by the inside. Like, the only reason that anybody was talking about any problem with the Philadelphia Eagles offense was because Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown decided that they were going to run their mouths about it because they wanted to get the ball more and winning wasn't enough to satisfy them. So when you do that, you create problems and cause your team to lose. The Eagles locker room culture, as you know, you and I have said for a while, is very clearly not great. It's struggled in multiple dimensions from multiple aspects. But this game, on the field, there is nothing wrong with the Eagles. Everything they're doing to themselves in the locker room. I'm not worried about the product this team is putting out. I'm worried about what they're doing to each other in the locker room.
I don't think they're as inevitable in the NFC as you do. And by the way, talk about officiating. Broncos, if not for a leverage penalty against the Colts, are undefeated right now. The officiating stuff, again, we can go through so many games. And you're right, it's not good. The officiating is not good. But that's not going to change. Real quick, because we didn't get enough time on it, the Bills lose. And look, they were mistake-prone in this game. The thing that stood out to me, though, was Drake May. I haven't watched a ton of him, because going through Red Zone and watching the different games and stuff. Drake May, they like to try and create this narrative that, he's the next Josh Allen. He was making Josh Allen-like plays last night. And that is very encouraging. He was, Sam. You can sit here and shake your head and roll your eyes all you want.
Rookie year Josh Allen.
He's got guys hanging all over him, and he's completing passes. Look, they played the perfect game. Right? They played the perfect game. The Bills played their C game at best, and they won by a few points. That's the takeaway. Everybody who's here to say, the Patriots are here. This is still the Bills division. Nothing's going to change my mind on that. It's still the Bills conference as far as I'm concerned. My concern is far greater on the Eagles than it is the Bills.
My biggest takeaway from this game was NBC continuing to talk about Stephon Diggs and this homecoming with the Bills. Let's just remember that saga real quick. Got paid a massive contract, had the best years of his career, asked for a trade, was immediately granted that trade, but there's a ton of beef between him and the Bills. Give me a break.
Yeah, they played it up a lot. There's more NFL coming later in the show, I promise you. But we'll get to the baseball next, a grim picture for the Yankees. Coming up in 10 minutes, Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Get to some college football with him, 2 games in particular. I'm done with Arch Manning. I don't want to hear another word about Arch Manning. This is the last time we'll hopefully be talking about Arch Manning. And Texas. What a joke. I didn't even have money on him, and I was pissed. Sam, let's talk some Major League Baseball. The postseason continues with the league divisional series over the weekend. This was tough. Watching the Yankees get boat raced in Toronto was not exactly my idea of a fun weekend, but that's exactly what happened. Losing game 1 of this series with Gausman on the mound, and the Yankees basically loading their rotation up, starting with game 2. I don't have a problem with any of that, but the Yankees were just horrendous in both of these games. They could not hit Gausman. They could not hit Savage, who we saw in yesterday's game, who was terrific for 5 1/3 innings. The splitter confounded the Yankees all afternoon. And they get beaten badly, and everything just going right. The only thing you could hope for if you're the Yankees, and this is cold comfort, is they put up a ton of runs in the second half of this game. Maybe it gets this offense going. And let me say this. I don't want to hear about Aaron Judge having 7 hits in the postseason and all that. If he's Steven Kwan, then what he's done so far is acceptable. If you're Aaron Judge, it's not acceptable. A bunch of singles and throwing a double in here and dying in the worst moments of this postseason so far is not acceptable for Aaron Judge. Go ahead.
I mean, and a moment for Trey Savage. A Blue Jays postseason record. That's a franchise that's been to quite a few postseasons. They've been around a while, and they've had a few really good pitchers in their day. Trey Savage, okay, young man. The same way Cam Schlittler did. Two guys absolutely coming onto the scene in October. What you really love to see. Again, you want to see it, and like I said with Schlittler, you got to see it play out through an entire regular season because Savage had issues this year. But being able to step up on these stages, it says something about the, cojones that these guys have. Yeah, okay. Blue Jays perspective, this could not have gone any better.
Yeah.
Vladimir Guerrero gets up in his first career postseason plate appearance and launches a nuke. I mean, Vlad Guerrero's been an incredible hitter in this series.
Yes.
Talk about, what Yankees fans probably dream they were getting out of Aaron Judge right now. The guy steps up in literally any clutch moment, any semblance of a clutch moment, and the ball's already over the fence. Yeah, the Blue Jays are an absolute wagon right now. They look like the best team in baseball. Yankee side, it is. You're right on the Aaron Judge thing. I'm hearing the Louis Rise thing. I don't know, man. Yankees fans, you being an exception, because again, I think you're an exceptional Yankees fan. But Yankee fans online are going crazy. I'm sure you saw the tweet that's going viral, as so many people have. There's a Yankees fan who's gotten a lot of steam on the internet now, calling for MLB to investigate the Blue Jays, saying that they're cheating the way the Astros were in 2017. Yankee fans, I'm sorry that you get to any clutch postseason series and your team lets you down.
Yeah, really. But
you can't just accuse everybody of cheating just because it happened one time.
No, and listen, Max Fried was not good yesterday. Luke Weaver's been terrible out of the bullpen. The good news for the Yankees is this. If they win with Game 3 with Rodon versus Bieber, you've got a chance to get it to 5 because it's going to be a bullpen game for the Jays in Game 4. They got to get through Game 3. Yankee Stadium will be all fired up. We'll see what happens on Tuesday night. The Mariners, man, what a great story. I mean, they lose Game 1, and you basically write them off for dead because they're going up against Skubal in Game 2. And hey, Jorge Polanco, who knew? Couple of home runs, just enough against Skubal, who's pitched great so far in this postseason, but hasn't gotten the offensive run support. Where have we heard that before? and the Mariners get up off the mat after giving up 2 late in this game, and the Tigers tying the game, scrappy as they are. But how about Julio Rodriguez stepping up in his first 2 games of this postseason, and he has been fantastic, and carrying the Mariners to a win, first in 24 years in the postseason for that franchise.
It just warms your heart, man. All the videos that were going around yesterday,
all the feels,
the broadcast, it was so fun to watch. The people, because those of us who have rooted for teams that were bad for a long time, to get that first playoff win, it's emotion jolting, right? It's so fun to see. Panic buttons on the table for the Tigers. You just lost the Skubal game. Oh no.
I agree, because I mean, you're up 1-0 in that series. With Skubal going in Game 2, you pretty much think you have it on lockdown. And now everything has obviously shifted in that series. Sam, let's talk about the Dodgers. Talk about getting up off the mat. They did that in Game 1, down 3-0. Ohtani gave them some length, which I don't know if I necessarily expected. And Teoscar Hernandez comes up with the big swing in this game. And the Dodgers up 1-0 on the Phillies in Philadelphia with Game 2 on Monday night.
Yeah, I take back what I said about the Blue Jays being the best team in baseball right now. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball right now, and it's fun to watch, man. It really is. You have to think that this is just big brain thinking by the Dodgers with the whole Ohtani thing. This has to be what they were planning to do all along. It is genius. They are genius for knowing that they could do this. I'm beyond impressed with that organization top down, especially after that win. Teo Hernandez, another big postseason player. This is why they brought him in. I cannot say enough good things about the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Phillies obviously in some trouble losing Game 1 the way they did. Let's talk about the Brewers and what they did in the first inning of game 1 against the Cubs. After the Cubs get one in the top half of the inning, the Brewers say, yeah, we'll show you some offensive output in the first inning. They score 6. Jackson Chourio had 3 hits in the first 2 innings, and then he leaves with a hamstring injury. And Sam, as high as I am on the Brewers coming out of that game, you have to be concerned if they don't have Chourio going forward.
Especially because they already said that it's a re-aggravation of that hamstring that made him miss so much time during the season. And, you finally got him back and you're like, all right, let's make this push. And here we go with all this. This series is going to be fun to watch, man. I don't know, but Boyd getting roughed up, it's not a great sign for the Cubbies down the road.
No, it isn't. And you still got some great Brewers arms that you're going to see during the course of this series. I like the Brewers and where they're at right now, and I don't want to hear anything about, teams that sit for a week and their offense. Go look at the Blue Jays and go look at the Brewers. That argument is done. We're coming back with college football. Bill Bender of the Sporting News is next. Rolling along on this Monday. More NFL to get to in 10 minutes. 2 teams we're going to put under the spotlight in the next segment. And both in serious disarray. Let's talk some college football. And to do that, we bring in our friend Bill Bender. Does a great job at the Sporting News on all things football. When I'm texting you on a Saturday, it can't be good, Bill Bender. So when I'm texting, I was so infuriated watching that Texas-Florida game. Where Arch Manning, look, just the final minute plus of that game where they've got the ball and an opportunity to drive down the field. I mean, the mismanagement of the final minute of that game, both from Arch Manning and, if you want to go after Sark on it, whoever. I mean, Texas looked terrible in this game.
Yeah, I never get a text from you on Saturday that says somebody looks amazing or this quarterback's awesome or this running back's fantastic.
That's true. It's true.
Well, here's the problem. In these 2 big games that Texas has played, Arch Manning against Ohio State around 55%, Florida 56%, a couple interceptions in those games that we magnify. And, I actually got asked the question on a morning radio hit this morning that should they bench Arch Manning? And it took me a minute to kind of calculate that. It's not out of the question. Maybe give him a reset. But now you're going into the Oklahoma game where they have a backup quarterback and they have the chance to knock the Longhorns probably out of the playoff picture. It seemed unfathomable 1 month ago.
It certainly did. Look, we knew that in some regards he was going to be a work in progress as the season went along. But it feels like to me where we were in the first game versus Ohio State to where we are after this game against Florida, I'm just not seeing the kind of, drastic improvement you would need to see from somebody who was so heralded going into the season.
Yeah, and me too. Same, I agree. And some of it is I chalked that first game up to, that's it could be a historically good Ohio State defense as we've seen over the first month of the season. So I kind of gave him the mulligan there, but it hasn't really progressed the way we thought it would. We could chalk it up to playing in the swamp or those kind of – Florida's got a good defense too, but you're in the SEC. There are good defenses. There are good teams. You are supposed to perform in those situations with the supporting cast that Texas has around him. Maybe some of it's the offensive line, but, some of it's Manning, and that's a very real thing going into this Oklahoma game. So there is no break from that pressure.
No, and I just watched the play again of him spiking the football as time expired, and just, oh my goodness, just an absolute disaster for Texas, who drops out of the top 20. They're out of the top 25, right? They're out altogether now, right? As is Penn State. And you asked a very interesting question to me, and I will pose it back to you because you're the guest and I'm just some dopey host, the anchor. Penn State, after this loss to UCLA, how hot is that seat for James Franklin right now?
I think it's the beginning of the end in some ways because I can't see them going to the playoff. I don't see them sweeping Indiana and Ohio State. And then you're ending up at 9-3 with that non-conference schedule. And given the expectations around the program, number 2 in the country, we talk about the top 10 record all the time. And then they go out. He went through the reasons why with travel and letdown and all that. But there is no excuse for going out to UCLA and losing to the Bruins.
Giving up 42 points is just as stunning.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the most stunning part is, honestly. Like you're right, the defense. How about the special teams? UCLA gave them every opportunity to get back in the game too, and not being able to defend Nico Iamaleava, just bad on all levels. And it does feel to me, as I wrote Saturday, a little bit like the beginning of the end of the Lloyd Carr era at Michigan. And it took that eye-popping upset against App State, and then to realize that now, revisionist history, they move on from Lloyd Carr. It set the program back.
It did.
With Rich Rod and Brady Hoke. So maybe that's the lesson there.
Yeah, it certainly was. You don't think it happened in season, though, right?
No, I don't. No, because this team still has the potential. They have enough talent to beat Indiana and Penn State or Ohio State. It's a matter of execution. Can they get to 10-2 and rally around James Franklin and this talented defense? But I mean, do you give them, what % chance do you give them of sweeping Indiana and Ohio State?
No, none. I based on what I've seen through the first 5 games of the season, how could I?
Right.
I can't do it.
And that's the hard part, because it's a good program and those kind of things. And we're so accustomed to James Franklin beating the unranked opponents that it was startling. That was the most jarring result to me all day Saturday by far.
If this thing gets as bad as it looks like it's getting at North Carolina, is this a one and done situation for Bill Belichick?
I wouldn't have thought that before, but
I mean, this is bad. I mean, 70% of that stadium was empty in the third quarter, Bill.
I guess, Jason, I don't understand the vendetta with the Patriots the most. Mm-hmm. Like, I get it, but I don't.
Explain to people, for those that don't know, the Drake May thing and the fact that basically there's this report out there that Bill Belichick won't allow anything North Carolina related to go back to the Patriots, on their social media, even if it's Drake May doing what he did last night. That's essentially the gist of it.
Yeah, that's reportedly what is going on here. And Drake May is probably one of your best recruiting tools, the way he's playing with the Patriots right now, or a Javonte Williams with the Cowboys. So I don't understand that. Every major program promotes their guys on Sunday. The good ones do. And it's bad on the field. It's rough. And it really comes down to 2 questions to me. I don't think he's going back to the NFL.
Not off of this.
No, I don't think he's going back to the NFL. And I think the only other option would be, is he going to retire after one season? They're not going to fire him mid-season. But and at that point, North Carolina is admitting, hey, we made a huge mistake here by letting Mac Brown go and do this. So I actually think he'll get one more season at least. And I think we'll get through year 2. And then if it's bad midway through year 2, we might have the exit then.
I don't know, man. 4 wins, not even a bowl team. I mean, in an era where everybody makes a bowl game, if they can't, I think he would step. I think there's a good chance he would just step away at that point. And go ahead, real quick.
Their remaining opponents have a 21-13 record, so it's not like a Bulls happening.
Yeah, no, it's not. Bill Bender, check him out over at the Sporting News. He does terrific work there. Thank you, my friend. Have yourself a great week. We'll do it again next week.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
We're coming back with more Sports Wrap on this Monday. Back to the NFL. Talking about the Bengals and Ravens next. We take it to segment 4 on this Monday edition of the show. Brian Twining in 10 minutes on the NASCAR Playoffs. We're down to 8 in the playoffs. And guess who won on the Roval yesterday? 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count. Sam Yarnell back to the NFL. after a respite with some baseball and college football. Let's get into two teams I want to talk about. And again, if we don't get to your team or the game you watched or anything like that, watch tomorrow. We've got your leftovers. We'll finish everything out there. It's only an hour show. But two teams I want to focus on here, and both of them in the AFC North, because I think it has a lot to do with sort of how the AFC plays out. Start with the Bengals, who continue to throw Jake Browning out there and continue to look like a ship without a rudder right now. And I still can't wrap my head around the fact that it feels like this franchise has thrown in the towel on this season because of the injury to Joe Burrow and for a refusal to try and do anything to upgrade at the most important position, not just in the NFL, but arguably in all of sports. It, to me, is unfathomable that you have a Bengals team right now that has essentially said, we're just going to mail it in on 25, especially when you look around the league. And the overarching theme to me, through the first 5 weeks minus one game of this season, the overarching theme to me, Sam, is nobody's inevitable. If you make the playoffs, you got a shot. And the fact that the Bengals, knowing that as an organization, knowing everything they put into this team in the offseason, the spending they did, getting Hendrickson into camp and getting him on the field, the fact that they have basically punted on 2025 is unfathomable to me.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. The most surprising thing to me in all of this is that the big bad AFC North has very quickly turned into the AFC South. Like they're the worst division in football, and it's not close. They're gonna have their playoff team, and gosh, that's about it. That playoff team's going down in the wild card round. I'll tell you that right now.
Not according to the sports books. They still got the Ravens as the favorite to win the division, Sam.
Which is
means
crazy.
Which means they think two teams are making the playoffs, because right now, I find it hard to believe that the Steelers wouldn't be a wild card. At worst.
I mean, the fall from grace from 3-1 to missing the playoffs would be a long one, but the Steelers' schedule is no cakewalk the rest of the season, and they have an early bye that goes with an old quarterback. Those two things don't generally mix well.
But on the Bengals, I want to get your thoughts on the Bengals.
But yeah, so again, I mean, I had my same thought I had last week that the NFL needs to step in and force a trade, but that seems like a little bit of a tired narrative at this point. So yeah, I don't know what is going to force the Bengals, because through three quarters of this game, Jake Browning had done nothing on offense except throw 2 interceptions, or maybe he had thrown his third one by that point. Regardless, I know the stat line note says that he threw for all these yards and 3 touchdowns and whatever, but that was all garbage time.
Yes, it
the
was.
fact of the matter is this: Jake Browning is not an NFL quarterback. He's not even an NFL backup at this point. Bring in like Matt Flynn or somebody. Sign someone off the street. I don't care. They'll probably be better than Jake Browning. But I don't expect this complacent organization that continues to stand by while whatever happens to their team is going to do anything. They're just going to keep bringing in whatever revenue they can, and yada, yada, yada. They signed their guys to a contract. We'll try and run it back next season.
It's just unacceptable to me. It's absolutely unacceptable to me. Speaking of unacceptable, the Ravens. Woo, man. Hard to be much worse than they were yesterday. And did I get it wrong? I thought, hey, give me Cooper Rush. Give me a team motivated, inspired. They're 1-3. They're desperate for a win. They're hungry. That team didn't look hungry at all. They looked like fat cats who didn't care one bit about the fact that they were about to drop to 1-4. And that is alarming. And we can sit here and talk about Nate Ord, talk about the offense or the defense, and changes need to be made. There is a deep concern and a deep worry for me when I look at this Ravens team that just looked completely uninspired for 60 minutes yesterday, Sam.
That defense is the worst defense in the National Football League. It is putrid. It is horrible. It stinks on ice. I mean, there are not enough bad things that you could say about this Ravens defense right now. You just gave up 417 yards of total offense to an offense that came into this game ranked in the bottom 3 in the NFL.
Yep.
That is horrible. Yeah, every name in the book that you could call the Ravens, they deserve it. Fraud, They shouldn't be anywhere near the top of the board as the Super Bowl favorites. I know they aren't anymore. They're 17-1. That still feels light to me. This team isn't making the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if they finished closer to the bottom of the division than the top. The Lamar Jackson thing, a lot of accusations are going to come towards him now. This guy, whenever the situation turns adverse, he somehow seems to come up with an injury or seemingly miss time. I am 100% out on the Ravens. They're going to have to fire Harbaugh. This team is a dumpster fire rolling down the street.
Hamstring. It's kind of tricky. When you talk about the Lamar
He'll
thing.
miss 6 weeks. He might not play again this season.
Look, they have the bye after this week. I think there's a really good chance you don't see him for this week, and then they'll have the bye week, and then he'll come back after that. Who knows what the hell he's coming back to at that point? But he'll be back nonetheless.
Are you bringing him back to a 1-6 football team?
Yes, you still got to bring him out. You're still going to put him out there. You're not gonna. You're
right, but because of the money that they're paying him. But I don't love that decision.
Bigger question is the long-term future of this group, given what we've seen through. And I still go back to game number 1. Game number 1 ends differently. I am convinced we're not in this position. We're back with some NASCAR next.
You've put up with your old shower for too long. It's outdated, unsafe, and it's time to replace it. But why struggle with a lengthy shower remodel when Jacuzzi can do it in just one day? And there's no need to break a sweat or your budget.
Right now, we're waiving all installation costs, plus offering 0 interest and 0 payments for up to 1 year.
So you can finally convert your old bath to a safer, easy entry shower, complete with a custom seat, grab bars, and slip-resistant floor installed in 1 day.
My overall experience with Jacuzzi has been wonderful. Everything was customized to the way I wanted it for the price that I wanted to pay.
I've had a great experience from start to finish.
Don't take matters into your own hands. Do it the smart way. Give Jacuzzi Bath Remodel a call.
Call or go online now to jacuzzibathremodel.com. We're waiving all installation costs and there's no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Go to jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-991-0721. That's 800-991-0721. Call now.
All right, Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes with some thoughts on the WNBA Finals. 2 games in the books. Las Vegas looking pretty good. And the bizarre story of Mark Sanchez and what took place in Indianapolis over the weekend. Brian Twining's here. He doesn't get in any knife fights in cities late at night. He didn't even go out. You just stay in. Keep yourself out of trouble, right?
All I do is shop NASCAR odds and monitor NFL happenings.
Our friend Brian Twining from Bleacher Nation hangs out with us every Monday on the show, almost every Monday, to talk about NASCAR. And I had this conversation with Tino Patino, who does the Friday NASCAR hit with us. And I'll say the same thing to you. On Friday, I think Shane van Gisbergen was like plus 110 or something like that. And I don't know how you bet anybody else when he is as dominant as anybody we've ever seen in this particular discipline of NASCAR, which is these road courses, and in this case, a Roval, which is part road course, part oval. And he holds off Kyle Larson for the victory on Sunday, Brian. What was your big takeaway watching Shane van Gisbergen win a 5th straight road race?
These guys are lucky that we have the stage break cautions. I'm fully convinced he would probably win by multiple minutes, not seconds.
Wow.
If there were no stage breaks. Just his ability to manage his tires over the long run at tracks like this is just it's unmatched by anybody in the sport right now.
I don't want to go too deep into it because he's not even in the playoffs anymore, as he bombed out in the first round. Because you know how I feel about this sort of one-trick pony thing. Is there a point where his ability, though, in these road course races, is there a point where it transitions to the ovals? Is there something that allows for that to happen that hasn't happened yet? I know he's still new and all of that.
I think we've kind of started to see the transition for him at ovals. I mean, he got his first top 10 at Kansas. 2 weeks ago, which is a difficult feat in itself at a track that was as crazy as it was with its own tire wear situations. And then at the short tracks that require a lot of braking, you've also seen him improve there too. So I think Martinsville, when we go there in a couple of weeks to close out the round of 8, that's a track that he'll probably also be fairly competitive at.
All right, move away from Shane van Gisbergen, because we all knew this race was basically a battle for second in essence, and Kyle Larson obviously came away with that win. The top 8 now for the rest of the season: Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, William Byron. Christopher Bell now is 5th, Chase Elliott, then Chase Briscoe, and Joey Logano. Thoughts on Logano just getting by?
In the moment, I was thinking to myself, Denny has no reason to want to pass Chastain here and let Joey Logano into the round of 8. But, stuff happens, and Logano made it through, and that this team just continues to prove why they are the most dangerous in this format.
Very interesting. The story of Tyler Reddick that came out over the weekend. He misses the round of 12, and you almost think the round of 8, and you almost think in some regards when you hear the story that sort of emerged this weekend that you're almost glad he didn't make because you'd have to sit there and ask yourself, how is this guy going to race in the round of 8 with what's taking place here with his son and this tumor and this awful story. It almost feels like a good thing in some regards that he didn't make the round of 8, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would definitely lean that direction. And I think it also points to maybe some of the struggles that the team has had this year. I mean, he seemed off from about, the summertime until this moment. And, finding out what's going on with his son, Rookie, it just kind of says his mind is where it should be, not in the car fully. So, yeah, I'm actually glad. I don't want to say I'm glad that he didn't make it, but it is good that he can focus on his family first.
And it's the sort of sport where, man, your focus has to be 100% in the car. You're talking, life and death in some cases with some of these things that take place on the track. All right, when you stack up this final 8 and sort of where we are right now, they'll be in Las Vegas this weekend. You and I will both be there. I'll see you out there at the South Point 400. Give me your thoughts now with where we are with this final 8 and sort of where you're looking, whether it's to win everything, if you're talking about value, whether it's to win the playoffs outright, win the Cup championship. Give me some thoughts here.
Well, I definitely think having Talladega as the meat of the sandwich of this round makes Vegas all the more important than it's been in the past, because if you don't have a good performance here, you run the risk of wrecking at Talladega and going into must-win situation at Martinsville, which only fits a couple of these guys. And like Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, and Chase Elliott, I think would be the favorites if that were the case. But for me, the favorite to make it through, like almost, I don't want to say guaranteed, but I would have to put that under Denny Hamlin's name right now. He was incredible at Kansas, probably the best car there, the most deserving winner. He says, I think he's going to win here at Vegas this week. And then you have to look at Ryan Blaney, who's been incredible in the fall Martinsville race as well, as the two guys I think are the most likely to make it through without issues.
You give Joey Logano any shot?
When does Joey Logano not have a shot? Even if Joey Logano wrecks at Vegas and Talladega, that team would probably figure out a way to win Martinsville.
Kyle Larson at plus 470 right now to win the championship. Denny Hamlin plus 450. Ryan Blaney at plus 430. I mean, all the odds are stacked pretty close together.
Yeah, which I find shocking, because I think we can assume if Ryan Blaney makes it through to the round of 4, he's the favorite.
Brian Twining, Bleacher Nation. Check him out there. He does a great job on NASCAR. I'll see you out here this weekend in Vegas, my friend.
Sure will. Looking forward to it.
We're coming back. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Monday. Before we say goodbye, a couple of reminders. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. 45 minutes of audio, commercial-free, Monday through Friday. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, Amazon, TuneIn, you name it. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show Monday through Friday. Also, if you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, because in addition to being on almost 270 affiliates around the U.S. and Canada, we're also available to watch commercial-free on our YouTube channel, the Monday through Friday version of the show. We also have Sports Wrap Shorts there, which if you have not checked them out yet, they are all the rage, getting huge numbers on social media now with these Sports Wrap Shorts, which are available on YouTube, other social media platforms as well. But we'd love you to go and check it out over on YouTube. All right, without any further delay on this Monday edition of Sports Wrap, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. The WNBA Finals, 2 games in the books and 2 games to the Las Vegas Aces. Jackie Young was fantastic last night. She had 21 points in the third quarter alone. I think she finished with like 32. And the Aces up 2-0 after a close win in Game 1, 79-76. They run away and hide in Game 2 of this series, Sam Yarnell, to a 2-0 lead. But interesting to note, you would think the Aces being up 2-0 and winning the way they did in Game 2, you would think their odds to win the WNBA Finals would be a little bigger. They're only minus 375 right now after the first 2 games of this best of 7. You can still get Phoenix at plus 300, which doesn't seem like it's a high enough number for me. I'm a little bit surprised, Sam, that the number isn't bigger.
Well, I think that probably is because Vegas still has home court, right? I think once Vegas wins in Phoenix, you'll see that number shift a little bit. Vegas winning the first 2 games of this series at home has obviously shifted the number a touch, but it's not shifted the number anywhere near as dramatically as Vegas's first win in the desert will. To your point about the Jackie Young thing, I mean, huge for her to come out. She scored 21 of their 30 points in the third quarter, right? In an absolute step on their neck job after coming out of that halftime locker room with that 9-point lead in Game 2. Little bit different story in Game 1. Obviously, that one was a little more down to the wire, but this Vegas Aces team has been dominant in multiple facets through the first 2 games of this series. I'll say on the Phoenix side, Satu Sabally and Kalia Copper have been very fun to watch. They are very effective scorers of the basketball. They'll be good for this Mercury team for a while, you'd have to imagine. However, on the Aces side, they have been dominant, Jason, and when you have the best player in the world in Asia Wilson on your team, that's going to help. She's put up a double-digit rebound game on Sunday, and I honestly don't have the box score in front of me, but I believe she did in Game 1 as well. So I think the Aces are going to roll in this series. If you really want to put a bet down, I look at the series handicap. I would imagine the Aces are probably laying 2.5 games at this point. I'd be comfortable with it.
Phoenix, by the way, a favorite, plus minus 3.5 in Game 3, which is kind of a surprise to me, given what we saw in the first 2 games. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. It is not a good one for Mark Sanchez. A story that broke on Saturday that initially looked like it was, oh my God, prayers for Mark Sanchez. He's been stabbed. It's in Indianapolis. It's late at night. You're thinking all these terrible things. Come to find out, he's the one who's been arrested for basically a misdemeanor assault charge. I'm shocked it's a misdemeanor given the injury sustained by the, DoorDash driver or Grubhub driver that Mark Sanchez was involved with. Sanchez was stabbed. This guy had a huge gash in his face. Sanchez is out of the hospital. He was arrested. He's already paid his bond. But you have to imagine this is it for Mark Sanchez. There's no way Fox Sports can bring him back, right?
I mean, yeah, probably. I don't know, man.
Everything's an allegation until proven in a court of law. But you have to imagine there were surveillance cameras, and for them to go in and arrest him and not arrest the guy who did the stabbing, like it was a Scream movie, for them to go after Sanchez and not this guy, they have to know what happened here.
Yeah, you'd think, but also, and we'll see. But let's just remember, we see crazy people get their shot on TV all the time. Like, just because you do something wild, if you're famous enough, as Mark Sanchez the butt fumbler is, doesn't mean that he'll necessarily just automatically be taken. Like, Shannon Sharp's still on TV. That guy's done some crazy stuff.
I don't know if he's on TV anymore. He still has his YouTube thing.
He's not?
No, he's not. Yeah, ESPN let him go. But, I mean, the fact still remains, we do live in a world of second chances.
Right.
And this is obviously Mark Sanchez's first offense, but it was very interesting to watch.
Crazy story.
The outpouring of support for Mark Sanchez. And by the way, I was included in that. To then watch this story flip on its head as fast as it flipped on its head is pretty amazing. And why you can't jump the gun when talking about these stories. And there were all sorts of different things that were floating around out there in social media, which is where you shouldn't be getting all your facts, people. I know everybody says they distrust the news, but be careful where you're getting your facts from. We'll see how it plays out. It's going to do it for us. Sam and I are finished. This Monday edition of Sports Wrap is in the books. Dennis Bernstein on the show tomorrow. Preview the NHL season. The NHL, the puck drops tomorrow night. Dennis will join us on the show. Sam, thank you to you, Brian Twining, Bill Bender. We'll see you all back here on Tuesday for another edition of Sports Wrap.